Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Hi, everybody. This is Scott Gordon. It's 2:45 in the afternoon here on Friday, August 14th, 2026, and I'm sitting here waiting to answer a bunch of questions that you guys sent in and have some fun. Going to have a piano thing by Uncle Floyd a little later on in the show, and we're going to have some more junk that I'm going to throw at you. Remember, if you want to get a question in here for next week, just email it to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. I print it out, I read it here, and sometimes I do a little research to get some numbers right, which I did this week. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of the music by the Vivino Brothers Band, and we'll get up to this in a few minutes. Alrighty, got a whole bunch of stuff here from people, and I'm going to read them all to you and answer them all for you. This is from Michael Lepowski. I printed these for Floyd when I first started watching the show. It looks like the Viewer of the Week Awards, starting at WWHT. All right. The budget seemed to be so low I felt sorry for him, so I wanted to help out. Now my question about how many awards did you guys give out over the years? Well, that I'd had to sit down and actually figure out some numbers here, Mike. August 1977 is when WWHT started being WWHT. It was WTVG before that, and WBTB before that. So, and then we became New Jersey Network and CTN and a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's see, August 1977, and if you went through the end of New Jersey Network, it's September 1986. I think that was the last time we gave them out. I don't know if it was your printings at New Jersey Network or not. Figuring 1977 to 1986, August 77 to September of 86, that's roughly 9 years. And we did roughly 260 shows a year, which would have worked out to be 330 weeks. So if we gave out one every week, it would be 330 of them. That's the closest I can figure out on that, Mike. So I hope that answers your question. From Dennis DeLeo. Floyd was a man of many talents. Way back in 1976 or 1977, Channel 68 had a program on a certain night of the week called Cinema 68. Floyd hosted this show where he sat at a desk with a phone and would show these old films, many of which were in such bad shape that the ragged soundtrack and scratchy celluloid was a distraction. I remember that it was done live, and Floyd would pick the phone numbers that viewers would send and call them. If the viewer could name the movie that was running, they'd win a prize. It was reminiscent of those old call-in shows that the independent stations would run in the afternoon. Do you remember this program, or was I dreaming? Yes, that program did exist, Dennis. And it was always very interesting. Floyd would pick a number and read it out, and some guy in an apartment on the 10th floor somewhere in Newark would get called, and he'd answer the question correctly, and the prize would be a Melnor sprinkler, which was very useful for somebody on the 10th floor of an apartment building. Some of the things that they gave away were not exactly too logical for the audience that was watching Channel 68 at the time. From Kevin Dillon. Hi, Scott. Although the Uncle Floyd Show had some famous singers and bands appear, many of the bands were unknown or just locally known New Jersey or New York City bands. Of these unknown bands, which were the ones that you liked or remembered the most? Let's see. My favorite ones, I think, of the unknown bands would have been the Punsters, Chum Pot, and the Viper Jazz Band. Those were the three that I really enjoyed. The Punsters were a local Jersey band. Chum Pot were guys from the entire New York area. As a matter of fact, I think Ed Alstrom was a member of Chum Pot. And the Viper Jazz Band was a guy by the name of Scott Black, who was a trumpet player and a singer, and a bunch of guys who played. I've shown, I think, something from all of them. In the Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a live stream show where I show clips of the TV show, including some of the bands. I also show clips of the show, some of the comedy. And we talk about it. There's a chat line where you can ask questions, and I answer questions about what you've just seen on the show, and other general questions about the show that come up at the time. You might want to join that. I'll talk about that again later, too. From Fred Knapp. He sent a bunch of questions this week. These are questions about the Uncle Floyd Show. And he asked some questions about me, which we'll get into later. Was there ever a time while filming the TV show when you and the cast members just couldn't keep it together and you all had laughing fits? If so, can you recall the sketches? I'm just going to do one. There was a lot of times that happened because we didn't know what was going to happen either. 90% of everything we did on the TV show was ad-libbed, so, we didn't know. And we only filmed it once. We never did retakes. We very rarely did retakes. I count, I think, on one hand the amount of retakes we actually did. One of the ones that I can remember that really went over great with the cast, we were doing a thing called the Newark Moms, which was a takeoff on the Boston Pops, where Floyd would do a lip sync or something, some sort of physical thing with music that was pre-recorded, like it was a concert. I was the announcer. I would go, now the Newark Moms, brought to you by music. And, something like that. We would do the routine, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The one that didn't work, that had all of us on the floor, Floyd was playing a violin solo that also had birds in the background. So I'm up on a ladder behind Floyd with a squeeze bottle. It's a ketchup bottle filled with, basically was tartar sauce. Tartar sauce, if you know it, it's like mayonnaise and other things with chunks of pickle in it, little chunks of pickle. So I'm standing up there, and he's playing, and the birds come in. Now, I'm supposed to squeeze this thing and have drops go on his shoulder and on the violin, little drops, and then get more and more drops and more drops so I get it on his face and everything else. And the sketch goes for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. So he starts playing, and I get up there, and the birds come in, and I squeeze it, and nothing comes out. We never considered the fact that the little pieces of pickle would jam the nozzle on this squeezy container. So I'm squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. Nothing's coming out. And Floyd's going, come on, under his breath. I squeeze it really hard. The lid popped off, and the entire contents came down and landed on the violin, splashed on Floyd's face. The sketch lasted maybe 30 seconds. But we're all on the floor. We used it anyway. It was on the show. That's one that I can think of. From Fred Velez, 2 questions. What was the furthest distance Floyd and the cast traveled for a live personal appearance, and which was the closest? Well, the closest we did was in Rascals, which was right down the street. Rascals in West Orange was right down the street from the station. So it was like maybe a mile and a half. Well, maybe we did. I think we did a quick personal appearance at the nightclub that was next door to the station. So that would be the shortest. But the longest that we ever did was not the full cast. It was me, Floyd, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. Boston was one, which is 220-something miles from where I am right now. And the furthest one that I did with Floyd was in Cleveland, Ohio. We went out there and we did a personal appearance and an interview with the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the newspaper. that was the ones that I think were the furthest that I did with Floyd. Floyd did a lot of ones. He went out to Vegas. He went out to Los Angeles when they were selling the syndication show. So that would be his distance. Fred's second question. Also, how long was Floyd away when he was filming Good Morning Vietnam? Oh, Good Morning Vietnam filmed in Bangkok, Thailand. That's where it was, and that was from April 1987 to May 1987. About 6 weeks with Robin Williams and the whole cast. That was the longest time I think he was away. Another movie he was away was for Crazy People, which was March of 1989. March through June. It was a few weeks. That was in Chatham, Virginia. Chatham Hall was a girls' school that they used as the background for the asylum. Mitch Markowitz was the director of that. He was a friend of Floyd. He watched the show. I don't know if he's out there anymore. If you are, hi, Mitch. Interesting story about that. June 12th, 1989, Lou Monte passed away. And I got the call because they couldn't get in touch with Floyd. They wanted to know if Floyd was going to come up. They were going to make sure everything was taken care of for him if he did. I had to call down to leave the message for Floyd. I knew he was staying at the Holiday Inn down there. So I called up the Holiday Inn. I got Floyd's room. The phone rang. It's late in the evening. The phone gets picked up and the voice says, "Mr. Vivino's room, Dudley the butler speaking." Dudley Moore answered Floyd's phone in his room. It seems that Floyd was running a poker game in his room that night, and I had to tell Floyd that Lou Monte passed away. Well, Floyd took one day when they weren't going to be filming anything that he was in, and overnight he drove up, came up to Lou Monte's funeral, and went back in the same day to Chatham, Virginia. That's the kind of guy Floyd was. You know, he was very much interested in his friends. From Andre McHarg in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't recall that anyone has asked about the photo in the podcast cover art, so who's your character and what was the bit? The bit was we were doing one of our burlesque shows. This is Uncle Floyd's last traveling, authentic American burlesque show. And this was at the Union County Performing Arts Center in 2017. And we were doing a courtroom sketch. And Floyd was the judge, and I was the prosecuting attorney. I was the prosecutor. A picture was taken by Richard Jones, as a matter of fact. So that's what that is. From Fred Knapp again, questions for me. What was the best live concert you've attended? Best live concert? My favorite live concerts are the Squirrel Nut Zippers. I still go and see them. It's a party every time I go there. I'm kind of friends with Jimbo Mathis, who's the lead singer, and I talk to him. I've got pictures of myself with him and everything else. He's a good guy, and I like their music. Where was the strangest place you've been recognized? Would be in a gym when I was working out. This big, tough-looking wrestler kind of guy comes in and goes, "Hey, you're Scott Gordon, aren't you?" And the weirdest one that happened to me was in a bakery in Ridgewood. I was getting a cup of coffee for myself and a friend. He worked at Victor's House of Music, which was right by the bakery. And this woman taps me on the shoulder and says,
"Excuse me, aren't you Scott Gordon from the Uncle Floyd show?"
And I turned around, I went, "Yes, I am."
She goes, "No, you're not. What would he be doing here anyway?"
And she walked out. How long have you had birds as pets? And which one lived the longest? I've had birds since I was about 8 or 9 years old. So I figure I've had birds for probably 65 years or more. Mostly parakeets. I've had 2 other birds. One is Verdi Birdie, who, if you come and watch the This Was the Uncle Floyd show on Tuesday night at 8 when we have a date, you'll see at the end of the show, at the end of the credits, it says a Verdi Birdie production with Verdi Birdie sitting on my head. So you can see Verdi Birdie, but the one who lived the longest was Sunny Bird. Sunny Bird was a sun conure, and Diane and I had her for 22 years. She was a real love. She was gorgeous. And if you look at the YouTube page where the podcast is posted, you can find the tribute to Sunny Bird where I put together a video after she passed away. His last question, do you ever do the Chuck Little Hat voice when the situation calls for it? Like if you miss an exit, forget something, or make a mistake? No, I don't. I don't do that because of the fact that all the characters I did on the show, I set the character with the costume. So if I don't have the costume on, I really don't do the character. I don't feel comfortable doing it, and I don't feel I do it accurately. And speaking of doing characters, you guys said you wanted to hear much more of the Gordon and Rogue stuff from the Remember When radio show. Here is episode 2 of Interstellar Adventure from the Gordon and Rogue Remember When show from the 1990s.
Captain's Log Supplemental. Captain Timothy Kirkwell Sagan reporting. First Officer Spurt and I have completed our mission in cardiac space and expect to rendezvous with the Andromeda in another 3 hours. I've had the shuttlecraft, the Hesperus, on cruise control. I was just ready to take a nap when my first officer gave me some disquieting news. Naturally, I reacted as any true leader would. What do you mean we're lost?
According to the stellar chart on my console, we are 4 light years past the rendezvous point.
You had the map. Why didn't you tell me back there?
Commander Sagan, I did tell you. I had an entire route punched into the automatic pilot. You chose to go on manual and race that Krang freighter. That is when we missed the turnoff.
So now, 4 light years later, you tell me we're lost in space.
Nonsense. We are Interstellar Adventure. We may be lame, but we have not hit bottom yet.
No, I mean, can we get back on track? We're supposed to rendezvous with the Andromeda in 3 hours.
From this heading, we will have to go all the way around the Orson Welles asteroid belt.
That's a big belt.
Or we can turn around and go back the way we came. Unfortunately, if we do that, we will be intercepted by the Krang freighter.
Do you think they'll cause trouble?
You really should not have given them that odd one-fingered salute. You told me that it was a traditional Terran farewell gesture. Well, maybe it means something different to the Krang.
I think they understood it all right.
I have it. There is a way station at the 4th planet in Sector 250624. We can get directions. There may be a wormhole or some other shortcut back to the Andromeda.
No way! I'm not stopping to ask for directions.
Why not? Logic dictates that we need assistance locating the quickest available route back.
No! Earthmen do not ask for directions.
But that is ridiculous. On Aphrodisia...
I don't care how you do things on Aphrodisia, mister. I am the captain, and we do things my way.
Doing things your way got us lost in the first place, as I recall.
Are you talking mutiny, Spurt?
No, I was talking cold, hard facts. I read the stellar chart, had everything mapped out for you, and you had to drag race the Krang and miss our coordinates by 4 light years. I suggest, as your first officer, that we get assistance, and you refuse to stop. I just cannot fathom you Terran males.
Oh, Spurt, don't do that. It's very distracting.
Do what? I sighed.
It's your aphrodisiac physiology. It's distracting. Everything bounced like mountains of Jello.
Do not start that again.
Damn it, Spurt. It's just that you're so intensely female.
That is not what Dr. McCorduroy says. I believe he does not like me.
He's an old man. I'm young and vital. Do you realize that this is the 2nd episode and I still haven't had a romantic encounter?
With another humanoid, you mean? Captain Sagan, you are invading my personal space.
What do you say, Spurt? It could be hours before the Andromeda comes looking for us.
I say that the stress of getting lost has made you irrational.
Ow! I'm not irrational, I'm Horn! Ow! Where did that come from?
Look, I will ask for directions at the way station. That way your Terran male pride can stay intact and we can get back to the ship soon.
Ow! That really hurts, Spurt. I had no idea you aphrodisiacs used those things defensively.
Aphrodisians. And you would learn to be defensive too if you had huge pointed...
This is the Andromeda hailing the Hesperus. Tim, are you there?
McCorduroy! Yes, I'm here, but what is the Andromeda doing in Sector 250624?
Waiting for the break of day? No, we stopped off at the way station for some Syntho burgers and Frankie fries. Zulu picked you up on the scanner. You were way off course and... Tim, your face is all bruised. What in Hubble happened out there?
We got cut off by a crank freighter and hit some rough energy fields. That's how Spurt's tunic got ripped too.
Yes, it was very turbulent.
Uh-huh. Tim, you'll get straight to sickbay as soon as you dock. By the way, Spurt. McCorduroy out.
He gave me the Terran one-fingered farewell gesture. Maybe he is beginning to warm up to me.
Tune in to the next exciting interstellar adventure when we hear McCorduroy say,
Hey! Who set this laser scalpel to incinerate? Well, it's not my fault. I'm a doctor, not a moil, damn it!
All right, we got a couple more questions, and then we'll have a song by Uncle Floyd. Mike Optenacher here. Based on your experience and learning with Les Paul and your chosen work since the Uncle Floyd show, were you the key person in audio and video production on the show? No, I was not, Mike. I didn't really touch anything. The only time I touched any of the equipment was to help somebody get a microphone on or off in the studio before or after a sketch. Like if Floyd had pie all over him, I would help him take his microphone off. We did some camera work when we were at the Jim Monaco studio. When there was nobody else, Muggsy, me, and Skip would work the camera. And, we did what we could because there was nobody else doing it. Every once in a while, there'd be a shortage of people at Pat Marucchi's studio due to the weather or something like that. And again, Muggsy or I would chip in. Muggsy eventually ended up working for Pat Marucchi and was a tech at the studio. He did audio, he did camera work, he did some remote camera work for Pat. That was it. And one last question from John and Mary, Spring Lake Heights. I remember a movie back in the 90s called Grind. I know you had a part in it. Yeah, a factory worker. One of my favorite actors was in it also, Frank Vincent. Did you have any contact with him during the filming? No, I did not have contact with him during the filming because of the fact that he was doing different things than I was doing. Okay, did I ever see the finished product? Yeah, I saw it. It's an interesting movie. It's available on Amazon Prime if anybody wants to see it. It's called Grind, and it's from I think 1997 is when the movie came out. Frank Vincent and I had a very interesting past. A matter of fact, back to the movie. Chris Kentis was the director of that, and it starred Billy Crudup and Adrienne Shelley, if I remember correctly. Those were the main actors in it. And everybody else was an add-in. Frankie Vincent, and I knew him for years, long time, from the bands that he played in the New Jersey area. He and Joe Pesci were members of the Chang Lee and the Zany Acts. They were a band that played all the clubs around Jersey, the Cameo, all those places. And I was a band geek, and I played in I did opening acts and things like that. But I knew them from way back then. So Frankie Vincent and I had a history. We knew each other from dressing rooms in nightclubs in New Jersey from the late 60s, early 70s. So That's the way that goes. So if you want to get a question in like everybody else did here, it's very, very simple. Just send it to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. And remember that Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. It's a live stream. It's only shown once. It's not archived. You got to be there when it happens. I show clips of the show. I host it live. We talk about the stuff on the show. You ask questions by typing them in. I answer the questions. Diane, my wife, is sitting across the table, and she writes the questions down so I don't miss them. We have a lot of fun. We get to see some of the old stuff from the show, and maybe you'll see some things that were talked about here today on Tuesday night coming up. Come to that. It costs $5, but that $5 keeps this going and that going. It keeps the podcast going and the live stream going. Without that money coming in, this would die. This would be gone. So please tell your friends, come to that. Tell your friends about this and listen to the commercials here. Also, if you'd like to give us a little donation to help this going, all you do is check the description. There's a link there where you click on it, and it'll take you to a page where you can make a little donation, send it out to us. All right? Now we got some music by Uncle Floyd. Since we were talking about the movies and Crazy People, the closing titles of Crazy People had Floyd playing the piano with one of the other characters singing it. It's Hello, Hello, Hello. And here it is by Uncle Floyd. Little story about this song. They were going to give Floyd credit for writing the song on the movie. And he said, no, I didn't do it. I did not write the song. Don't give me credit for it. The writer was, and he named the author of the song, which I don't remember right now. And they looked up the guy's widow, and they paid her $10,000 for the use of the song. So Floyd turned down extra money so this songwriter's widow would get the money. And remember, the most important thing to any show is you guys, the audience. You're the most important thing. Without you, this wouldn't happen. No show would happen. There'd be no use doing any of this without an audience, unless you're crazy people. Please remember also that Floyd loved the fact that you guys listen to this and you guys watch the show that we do on Tuesday night. So please enjoy everything that we do. I hope we give you a few laughs. I hope we give you a few smiles and take your troubles away for a little while. That's what it's all about. Now, here's Floyd on the piano. I'll see you next week with another one of these podcasts.
Hello, hello, what a wonderful word. Hello, 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 you can hear it wherever you go. Why, a stranger in a strange place can't be nearer, but when you hear music like this, it can't be dearer. Hello, 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 what a wonderful word. Hello. Hello, 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 what a wonderful word. Hello, what a wonderful word. Hello.
This program was produced in the studios of Scott Gordon Enterprises, Incorporated in Paramus, New Jersey.